Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. So today we are doing a deep dive into lifestyle investing.
Okay.
We are going to be taking all of our cues from Justin Donald's book, The Lifestyle Investor. And I just wanted to kick it off by saying, if you're looking for a way to reach financial freedom and live life on your own terms, like maybe ditch the 9 to 5 before you're, even 40 years old,
Right.
then this is definitely the deep dive for you because that's exactly what this book is all about.
Absolutely. And what I love about Dialed is that he doesn't just offer advice. He digs into why the traditional advice that most people get about investing might not actually be the best way to achieve that freedom.
And it's really resonating with people. The book's got tons of rave reviews, folks saying they've used his strategies to generate, serious passive income. So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, Donald kicks things off by tackling 6 common investing myths.
Yeah.
Things that we've all kind of been told to believe about money and investing. And some of these are really eye-opening, especially for folks who are just starting to build their financial foundation.
Okay, so like blindly trusting your 401k, for example. Everyone says max it out, but is that always the smartest move?
Donald would say, not necessarily. He argues that these plans have some serious flaws. Like, what if the market tanks? Right before you're ready to retire, what happens then? And Social Security's future is pretty uncertain at best, and the tax structure often feels like it benefits the government more than the individual.
Yeah, he actually shares a personal story about losing money in the stock market, even though he had a positive average return.
Right.
That makes you think twice.
Yeah, averages can be super misleading. Understanding the actual performance of your investments is key. It's about taking control and not just blindly following the herd.
So if we can't necessarily rely on the traditional advice, what does Donald suggest? We're not just going to stuff cash under our mattress, are we?
No, definitely not. He's all about diversifying income streams.
Hmm.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your investments across different asset classes so you're not at the mercy of any one economic force.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. He talks about some pretty unconventional investments like single family rentals, the cannabis industry, even music royalties, like stuff you wouldn't normally think of as a path to wealth.
Exactly. He really emphasizes the need to stay informed about emerging trends and opportunities. Don't limit yourself to what's always been done. Sometimes the biggest wins come from thinking outside the box.
And I love how he kind of flipped the script on the whole upgrade your lifestyle thing. He actually upgraded his real estate portfolio before upgrading his family home. Most people would do it the other way around, right?
It's a brilliant approach.
Yeah.
He prioritized income-generating assets first to make sure any lifestyle upgrades were supported by a solid financial base. It's like building a strong foundation before you add on to the house.
Makes sense. Okay, another myth he busts is blindly trusting financial experts. Not all advisors are created equal, right?
Definitely not. He points out that many advisors don't actually have fiduciary responsibility, meaning they aren't legally required to put your interests first. Their advice could be biased, influenced by commissions or kickbacks. You really have to do your research and get advice from multiple sources.
And then there's this belief that you need a ton of capital to get started with investing. But Donald showcases options for different budgets, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
From crowdfunding platforms to mobile home parks, he emphasizes that there are opportunities out there for everyone. The key is doing thorough due diligence, diversifying, and seeking expert advice when you need it. It's about being resourceful and finding the right fit for your individual situation.
Okay, so we've kind of debunked these common myths. So what's the alternative? What does Donald actually propose we do?
He lays out what he calls his 10 commandments of lifestyle investing. And these aren't meant to be followed in isolation. They're more like interwoven threads that create a tapestry.
Okay, so for our listener who's, eager to dive in and get started, let's focus on a few that really jump out to me. Find invisible deals. Create cash flow immediately. Find an income amplifier plus the deal, cut out the fat, and invest in yourself.
Those are all great choices. Find invisible deals is about uncovering opportunities that most people overlook.
Right.
Remember his story about Dress Barn? It was a struggling brand, but he saw its online potential.
He managed to get preferred equity, above market interest rates, profit sharing, and a quick return of his principal. It's like he found a hidden treasure chest.
Yeah, he's incredibly skilled at structuring deals to maximize returns while minimizing risk. He's not afraid to go against the grain and see value where others don't.
Okay, let's talk cash flow. That's what everyone wants, right?
Yeah.
Reliable income. You can count on Donald points to mobile home parks as being surprisingly profitable.
It's a classic invisible deal. People have a lot of preconceived notions about mobile home parks, but he saw their potential.
And the best part is these parks started generating positive cash flow right away. He even shares a story about one park that went from barely breaking even to making a $14,000 profit per month.
It's a testament to the power of focusing on cash flow.
Mhm.
It gives you financial flexibility and lets you reinvest those profits into more income-generating assets.
He also uses 1031 exchanges, which is a tax strategy that lets you avoid paying capital gains when you sell one investment property and buy another. So he's constantly looking for ways to maximize returns and minimize his tax burden.
Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Now, income amplifiers. This is where things get really interesting. He talks about these sidecar agreements. What are those? Are they like side hustles for your investments?
You could think of it that way. They're like bonus agreements that
Right.
give you even better terms than what the average investor gets.
So how does he do that? He mentions a three-step approach, right?
Right. First, he negotiates favorable terms for the initial investment. This could be lower fees, higher returns, or even a lower minimum investment.
Okay, that makes sense. But it doesn't end there, does it?
Nope. Then he secures the right to invest in future deals with those same favorable terms. It's like getting VIP access to the best opportunities before anyone else.
So he's always one step ahead. What's the third step?
He often negotiates the right to co-invest in deals that aren't part of the original agreement. And these co-investments often have even better terms than the initial sidecar agreement.
Wow, it's like he's playing 3D chess with his investments. He's creating multiple layers of advantage.
Exactly. And then he uses whole life insurance as an income amplifier. He borrows against the policy to invest in cash-flowing assets, essentially making his money work double time.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. He calls it plussing the deal, right? He's
Yeah.
basically leveraging the difference between the interest rate on his policy loan and the return he's generating from his investments.
It's a more advanced strategy, but it can yield some pretty impressive returns when done correctly. And he emphasizes the importance of finding a life insurance company with a non-direct recognition dividend structure.
Which means the dividend doesn't get reduced even when you borrow against the policy. So you're essentially creating profits from money that technically doesn't even exist.
Exactly. It's about finding creative ways to make your money work harder for you.
Okay, cut out the fat. This one I love because it's all about simplifying and minimizing unnecessary expenses. It's like decluttering, but with your finances.
Donald would definitely agree. He's all about finding and eliminating costs that aren't adding value.
He even realized that he was actually losing money in the stock market, even though he had a positive average return.
What?
It was all those hidden fees eating away at his profits.
It's a wake-up call to question everything. Do you really need all those middlemen? Are their fees justified? Can you find a more direct way to invest?
He advocates for negotiating directly with sellers and structuring deals to minimize expenses. He even negotiates contracts with performance-based compensation so everyone is motivated to make the investment successful.
It's all about aligning incentives and creating win-win situations.
Love it. And finally, invest in yourself. This is something I'm a big believer in. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. Donald views mentorship and getting guidance from experts as essential to success.
He emphasizes that it's not just about financial education, though. It's about personal growth as well, surrounding yourself with people who challenge and inspire you.
He specifically seeks out mentors who have already achieved what he wants to accomplish and learns from their experience. It's a shortcut to avoiding costly mistakes and accelerating your path to success.
It's all about finding the right mentors who are a good fit personally. Building those relationships is key in any field, but especially in investing.
So we've talked about some common investing myths and touched on a few of Donald's key commandments. But how does he actually put all of this into action? Let's dive into some specific examples of his deals and see how he makes it all work.
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready to see how he uncovers those invisible deals and makes those income amplifiers sing.
All right, so let's jump into Donald's Commandment 5. Create cash flow immediately, and his ventures with mobile home parks. And I know what you're thinking when you hear lucrative investments. Trailer parks probably aren't the first thing that come to mind.
Yeah, not exactly glamorous, right?
Right. But that's where the opportunity lies. While everyone else sees problems, Donald sees potential. And he was able to buy these parks for a steal, sometimes even with zero down payment.
And get this, he actually breaks down how he took one park that was barely breaking even and turned it into a cash cow, generating $14,000 in profit every single month just by making some strategic improvements and adjusting the rents.
Yeah, it's amazing what a little bit of focus and effort can do.
$14,000 a month. That's incredible.
It's the power of cash flow. It gives you the freedom to reinvest those profits and really grow your wealth exponentially.
And he uses that cash flow wisely, too. He talks about using 1031 exchanges, which is a tax strategy that lets you avoid paying capital gains tax when you sell one investment property and buy another. Like he rolled over the profits from selling one mobile home park into buying another one and avoided a huge tax hit.
Exactly. It's a savvy way to keep that money working for you instead of handing it over to the government.
Okay, let's unpack Commandment 6. Find an income amplifier. What are those exactly?
Think of them as bonus agreements that get you even better terms than what the typical investor would get. He's essentially creating a win-win situation for everyone involved.
Okay, so how does he pull that off? He talks about a three-step approach, right?
Right. So first, he negotiates really favorable terms for his initial investment. That could mean things like lower fees, higher returns, or even a lower minimum investment.
Okay, that makes sense. But it doesn't stop there, right?
Nope. Next, he secures the right to invest in future deals with those same sweet terms. So he's basically getting first dibs on all the best opportunities.
So he's always one step ahead. Very clever. What's the third step?
He often negotiates the right to co-invest in deals that fall outside of the original agreement. And those co-investments usually come with even better terms than the initial sidecar agreement.
Wow, so it's like he's created this whole ecosystem where he has the upper hand at every turn.
Exactly. He's all about strategic positioning and creating multiple layers of advantage. He actually gives a great example of how he applied this strategy when investing in a fund that lent money to cannabis businesses. He not only got preferred terms for himself and his network, but he also secured the right of first refusal for any co-investment opportunities that came up.
That is amazing. Okay, now let's talk about how he uses whole life insurance as an income amplifier. This one really blew my mind.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique approach. He basically borrows against the policy to invest in cash-flowing assets. So it's like he's making his money work double time.
Yeah, he calls it plussing the deal, right? He's leveraging the difference between the interest rate on the policy loan and the return he's getting from his investments. Exactly. It's a bit more advanced, but it can be very effective. And he stresses the importance of finding a life insurance company that has a non-direct recognition dividend structure.
Which means that the dividend you get isn't reduced, even if you borrow against the policy. It's wild. You're essentially creating profits from money that doesn't even technically exist.
It's all about thinking outside the box and finding creative ways to leverage your resources.
I love it. Okay, let's move on to Commandment 8, cut out the fat. This one really resonates with me because it's all about simplifying your finances and getting rid of unnecessary expenses.
Yeah, Donald is a big believer in efficiency. He tells this story about realizing that he was actually losing money in the stock market despite having a positive average return because all the hidden fees were eating into his profits.
It's so easy to overlook those fees, isn't it?
It really is. And it highlights how important it is to pay attention to the details and be mindful of where your money is going.
So how do we actually cut out the fat? What does Donald recommend? He really encourages us to question everything. Do we really need all those brokers and financial advisors? Are they adding enough value to justify their fees?
Sometimes it feels like you need a financial advisor just to figure out all the other financial advisors.
Right, exactly. And he believes that in many cases, it's actually better to invest directly, cut out the middlemen, and keep more of the profits for yourself.
He even negotiates contracts where everyone's compensation is tied to performance, so everyone is incentivized to make the investment successful.
Yeah, he's all about aligning incentives and creating win-win situations.
Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about Commandment 9, invest in yourself. And this goes beyond just financial education, right? It's about personal and professional growth as well.
Absolutely. Donald is a huge proponent of mentorship and learning from people who have already achieved what you're striving for. He shares a great story about working with a coaching client and helping him build a portfolio of 6- and 7-figure deals in just 90 days.
90 days, that's insane.
It's incredible what focused guidance can accomplish.
It's like having a roadmap instead of wandering around in the dark.
And he emphasizes that it's not just about finding any mentor. It's about finding the right mentor for you. Someone you connect with on a personal level and whose expertise aligns with your specific goals.
Finding those mentors can be tough, though. Where do you even start?
He talks about networking, attending industry events, and reaching out to people you admire. Don't be afraid to ask for help or advice. Most successful people are happy to share their knowledge and experience.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about some of Donald's key principles and commandments, but how does he actually put all of this into action in real-life deals?
That's a great question. Let's dive into some specific examples and see how he navigates those invisible deals and puts those income amplifiers to work.
I'm all ears. Let's do it. Okay, so let's hear about how Justin Donald actually puts these lifestyle investing principles into action with real deals. He's got these 10 commandments, right? So where do we even start?
Well, he kicks it off with Commandment 1, define your lifestyle. And this is all about getting really clear on what you actually want your life to look like. And not just, in retirement, but like right now, today.
So it's not just about making a ton of money, it's about creating a life that you actually enjoy living.
Right, exactly. It's about having the freedom to spend your time doing things that are meaningful to you, spending time with your family, pursuing your passions, traveling, whatever it is that makes you feel fulfilled.
Okay, I like that. But how do you actually define your ideal lifestyle? That seems kind of like a big abstract concept.
He suggests kind of envisioning your perfect day. What are you doing? Who are you with? What kind of impact are you making? He actually calls it the lion lifestyle, which is all about prioritizing your well-being, your relationships, and work that feels purposeful.
Lion lifestyle. I like that. It sounds pretty fierce. Does he give any personal examples of how he actually lives this lion lifestyle?
Yeah, he actually walks us through his own daily routine. He's really big on family time. He makes sure to exercise regularly, and he structures his work in a way that gives him a lot of flexibility. He even makes time for travel and adventure. So he's walking the walk. He's not just talking about it. He's actually living proof that financial freedom is about more than just money. It's about having the freedom to design a life that aligns with your values.
So it's not about waiting until you retire to start enjoying life. It's about creating that life now. I love that message.
And that's exactly why he says you need to define your lifestyle before you figure out your investment strategy. Your investment should be there to support your dream life, not the other way around.
Hmm?
He even has this exercise where you basically identify what you want freedom from and what you want freedom to do.
That's a really cool way to kind of frame it. It's about aligning your finances with your values and creating a life that's both prosperous and personally fulfilling.
Exactly. All right, so moving on to Commandment 2, develop your financial fortress. This is all about laying a strong foundation that can withstand any financial storm that might come your way.
So this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of budgeting, saving, and investing.
Yeah, exactly. He talks about the importance of building a really solid financial team. So, attorneys, CPAs, insurance professionals, the whole nine yards. And he stresses that you want to make sure that all of these advisors are fiduciaries, meaning they're legally obligated to put your interests first.
That's huge. I feel like so many people get caught up in shady financial advice, or they end up working with people who aren't really looking out for their best interests.
It happens all the time, which is why it's so important to do your research and make sure you're working with trustworthy professionals. He also talks about diversifying your income streams so you're not reliant on any one source of income. Explore different asset classes. Real estate businesses, royalties, precious metals really spread that risk. And of course, having a healthy emergency fund is absolutely crucial.
It's like having a safety net, right? Knowing you can handle unexpected expenses or financial setbacks without having to panic.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of security and stability, knowing that you're prepared for whatever life throws your way.
Okay, now for the really exciting part. Commandment 3. Find invisible deals. This is where Donald's talent for finding hidden investment gems really shines through.
He's amazing at spotting opportunities that most people completely miss.
Mm.
Remember that whole dress barn investment? We talked about that earlier.
Right.
He basically bought this struggling brand for a bargain, negotiated incredible terms, and then leveraged their online presence to generate a ton of profit.
It's like he's got this sixth sense for seeing potential where other people just see problems.
He does. And he talks about how you can develop that same kind of intuition by, identifying emerging markets and trends, staying ahead of the curve, and capitalizing on opportunities before everyone else catches on.
So it's about being a bit of a contrarian, right? Not just following the crowd, but blazing your own trail.
Exactly. All right, next up is Commandment 4, apply the velocity of money principle. This is all about making your money work harder and faster for you.
I'm all about efficiency. Tell me more.
So basically, he explains that the faster your money is moving and generating returns, the more wealth you're going to build over time. Think of it like compound interest on steroids.
So it's not just about how much you invest, it's about how efficiently you invest it.
Exactly. He really stresses the importance of structuring deals with a quick return of principal so you can take that money and reinvest it into new opportunities. He also talks about the strategic use of leverage borrowing money to amplify your returns and accelerate your growth.
Leverage can be a bit risky though, right?
It can be, which is why it's important to use it wisely and only when you have a solid understanding of the risks involved. Okay, let's jump ahead to Commandment 7, plus the deal. This is all about going above and beyond to find those extra layers of value that can really sweeten the pot.
I like where this is going. Give me some examples.
He's always looking for ways to negotiate bonus equity profit-sharing rights, co-investment opportunities, really anything that can boost his overall return. He encourages us to be creative, brainstorm win-win scenarios, and,
Yeah.
really focus on adding value that benefits everyone involved.
So it's not just about getting a good deal, it's about making a good deal even better.
Right. And finally, we come to Commandment 10, live a life of significance. This is where we zoom out and remember that ultimately financial freedom isn't the end goal, it's a means to an end. It's about living a life that truly matters.
So it's about purpose and impact, right? It's about using your resources to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. He encourages us to think about how we can give back to our communities, support causes we believe in, and leave a positive legacy that extends beyond our own lifetimes.
That's a really powerful message.
So where do you go from here? How can you apply these principles to your own life?
Donald's book is really a call to action. It's about taking control of your finances, designing a life you love, and making a positive impact on the world. Start by defining your ideal lifestyle, build that financial fortress, seek out those invisible deals, and invest in yourself. Surround yourself with a supportive community and never stop learning and growing.
Financial freedom isn't a destination, it's a journey. And it's a journey that's well worth taking.
If you're feeling inspired and ready to dive deeper into lifestyle investing, definitely check out Justin Donald's website at lifestyleinvestor.com. You'll find his podcast tons of resources and information about his coaching programs.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the lifestyle investor. We hope you found it valuable.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to create a life that's truly your own.
Until next time, happy investing.